Welcome to another session of AVR120. Today we are going to be going over setting up some game audio and using a on-trigger exit on our door triggers this time to play that audio depending on if we're in the desert or in the base. So the way audio works for Unity, okay, if we take a look at the manual, all right, we need an audio source, okay? And in that audio source, there will be clips, sound clips that get played, and we can change those sound clips, okay, to different things. And you can have multiple audio sources in the scene. So what we will go ahead and do now is create an audio source on our gun to play some shooting sound. So actually before we go ahead and set up the audio source, we're going to want to download the audio files from the course files themselves. So we'll need to go to the Canvas shell, and the files are in the course file section. So if you click Files and Audio, you'll have all of the audio clips in this folder here. So we're going to want to go ahead and go to Sound Effects, and we want to might as well we'll grab all of these here. So you can just go ahead and click Download. And then we will want to go into the ambient and download these as well. If you click the little three dots and click download as well. So if we go ahead and we go into, we click show in folder at the bottom here, if you're using Chrome, you'll want to grab all of these clips here, and I'll go back into Unity, and I'm just gonna grab all these clips here. I'll drag it into the scene. Or into the assets at the bottom. Okay. And I believe for some reason the explosion didn't download, so let me go back to that. We're not going to use that necessarily today. We'll download that as well, though. Okay, so once we have it in our scene here, let's go ahead and with assets selected in the project panel, we'll right click, we'll go to create folder, and we will create an audio folder. And we can shift click the rest of these clips and just drag them into the audio folder to keep us organized. You can further organize this too, which I'm going to go ahead and do is I'll click into the audio folder, I'll right click, I'll go to create, and I'll create another folder, and I will call one folder sound effects, and I will create another folder, and I will call that ambient. All right, so I'll take these bass and this desert ambient, I'll drag it into the ambient folder, and I'll take these two sound effects and I'll drag it into the sound effects folder. So now what we'll want to go ahead and do here is we will go to the first person player, we'll open that up, and we have all of these weapons here listed. And you want to make sure that you actually have a gun script on all of these. I just realized that we only have it on the rifle, so we can actually re-add all of these. We can re-add this gun script on all of these here. If you just go to your assets and where your script is, and if you select the gun and you just drag this onto the object in the hierarchy, it will add it as a component. So I'm going to add it to the pistol. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my heavy. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to my sniper. You'll see it has the gun now. So we'll want to go ahead and just set up our references too. So just drag the main camera into the FPS cam slot for each of these. Okay. And you can adjust the values as you'd like, but I'm just going to leave them the same for now. And we will go to the rifle here, and I'm going to add a component, and I'm going to add an audio source. I don't want it to play on awake, so I'm going to uncheck this play on awake option. All right. And you'll see here, so the audio source is a component that can be added to any game object. And you'll see the audio clip here. This is how you actually set audio clips to be played. And you can adjust the volume and different settings here. So maybe I'll turn this down just a tad to like 0.8 or so. And I want to go ahead and basically through scripting, I'm going to go ahead and play the audio source here. So I want to set the audio source in the gun to have the proper sound clip. So I will go to my audio folder and sound effects. And I'm going to find the laser shot sound. I'll click my rifle again here, and I will drag this rifle sound into the audio source slot, the audio clip slot on the audio source. And I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm actually going to go into the gun script here. So I'll double click that. And we will need a reference to our audio controller here. So I wanted to show you that you didn't have to necessarily drag it in the editor. You can actually get a reference to it in the script here. So you can do that right when on awake. And so awake is called when the script instance is being loaded. So it's like right when everything is being loaded into the scene. It should happen before start. So what we can do here is we'll make a variable up here of type audio source, and we can call it gun audio, and we can go down into awake, and we can set the gun audio. And because we have the audio source on this object, we can actually just use the get component kind of method here. And we can search for the audio source, and that will set up our reference right when the script starts. And now, essentially, when we shoot the gun, we want audio to play. So what we can go ahead and do is inside of the shoot method, before we do anything, we can reference the gun audio, and we can reference we can access a play method off of the audio source. And this will just play the clip that is currently loaded into the audio source. And so if we go ahead and save that now, and we go back into Unity, all right, and we save, and I'm just going to test it. If I have the rifle selected and I right click, you'll hear that it plays a sound. It plays pretty loud, so I might turn it down, the volume down to like half. Save, play it again, see how it sounds. Still a little loud, so press play and turn it down just a tad more, maybe like 0.3 or something. The other thing too you'll notice is you're going to be getting an error when you switch to the other weapons and try to shoot. You'll see a null reference exception, and that's because these do not have these weapons do not have an audio source on it, and we're referencing that in the script on awake. So let's go ahead and fix that. We'll just click all of the weapons and we will select audio source. And you're gonna want to probably put different audio for each of these weapons, but for now, um, to kind of save on time, I'm just going to drag all of these laser sounds into the weapons here. So I'm adding an audio source onto each weapon under my weapon holder, and then I'm adding the laser sound effect to each one. But I also wanted to show you guys a site called freesound.org. It's a completely free site. You can see here it even has like already has a rifle sound. Just gives you random sound of the day. You'll need to you'll need to register and log in to be able to access it. So this website will allow you to search for different sounds here. If you click on the sounds tab, you can see there's a variety of different sounds, and you can use the search sounds at the top there as well. They have all sorts of different sounds that you can choose from. So you just need to make a register an account, and you can use this to grab a bunch of free sounds. So just wanted to go ahead and show you that. So now what we'll go ahead and do is we will set up essentially the OnTriggerExit to um, an OnTriggerExit method. So similar to OnTriggerEnter, there's also a method which is built into Unity that when you leave the collider of an object, um, so on the exit of the trigger, um, you can run some code inside of that method as well. So we will go ahead and get that set up now. So so the first thing we're going to want to go ahead and do is create a new object in the hierarchy, and we'll right click and we will create an empty game object, and I'm going to call this world audio. And if we select that game object and we go to add component, we're going to want to add an audio source. We want to leave play on awake on in this scenario because I want it to play when the game starts there. And then we will go ahead and go to add component, and we're going to make a simple script here. We will call this world audio. We will create an add. Double click the world audio script here, and this will just be a simple script that has a list on it of audio sources. So we need to make it public because we want to access it from we're going to access it from another script. We need to declare the list of type, and it's going to be audio sources. And we can call this world audio clips, and we will set it equal to new list and audio source. And we need to put a parentheses at the end there and then a semicolon. So we'll declare this list here, and we can just save it. And if we go back into the editor now, we'll see that there are world audio clips now on this script. And so if we set this, we can open this up and we can just click this plus. We'll create 2 entries. And let's go to, we'll lock it. Let's go to our audio in the project pane. And then we'll go to ambient. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag the desert ambient into the first slot here. And I made a mistake with this script, so let's go ahead and actually go back into the script one more time. And it's actually not audio source, it's going to be audio clips. Audio clip, excuse me. We want audio, we want a list of audio clips so that we can add the audio that we dragged into our game. So we'll go back into Unity here, and I'm going to once again make sure that it's locked. I'm going to move this script into our scripts folder just so that it's organized. I'm going to click the audio again here. I'm going to go to ambient. I'm going to drag the desert onto the first audio clip and drag the bass ambient onto the second. Go ahead and save it here. And now we'll go back to that script here, and we will go to the door trigger script and set up referencing these audio clips and then playing them from that script. So if we go ahead and we open up the environment, that was where I put my trigger. You just need to find your door trigger if you are having a hard time finding it. If you type in if you like search up here, so if I searched for outside door trigger, this will find it in the scene for me here. Okay. And then you just press X and you'll have it selected in your scene. And you can see the rest of your objects there. So you can use this to search within your scene. You can also actually right click objects here like so, and you can find reference in scene. And if you click on this now and you press X, that'll tell you where that sound clip is. Anyways, let's go back to our outside door here. And I need to unlock this. And with outside door trigger selected, I will double click the script. And now I'm going to go ahead and create a Boolean here that will determine if we're changing the audio or not. So I will, well, first we have to, we have to reference the audio source. So we'll do a serializable field again. And we need an audio source reference so we can reference that world audio, and I'll call this world audio source. And then I'll go ahead and create a public bool, and I'll call it change audio, and I'll set it equal to false. So now we can go ahead and create an OnTriggerExit method right underneath this OnTriggerEnter. So I will find my closing curly braces for OnTriggerEnter, and I will write a private void OnTriggerExit. It will complete that for me. And again, it's the same concept, except that when it gets called when the collider other has stopped touching the trigger. So instead of touching the trigger, it gets called when we essentially leave the trigger. So we will do something very similar to what we did up top. We'll check the tag again. We'll say if other dot compare tag, and we will check the player tag, and then we will also say and change audio is false. All right. then we're going to want to go ahead and we need to reference. So now that we've run that check on against the player tag to see if the tag that is leaving the collider is the player tag, and we've set the change and we're checking to see if the change audio bool is not true. So if that is the case when we leave the collider, we're going to get a reference to the we're going to get a reference to the world audio source, or use our reference, excuse me, to the world audio source. We're going to access the clip field. We're going to set that clip field equal to the same objects, and we're going to get the component on that object um, of type world audio, our script that we created and put on that. And from that script, we're going to access the world audio clips list that we created. And we will set that to 0, which is the first element of that list. So the first sound clip that we put into that list is the 0 element, and that is what we are accessing here. And then we can actually just go ahead and play it. And we'll also want to do an else check. So else if the tag, all right, we want to make sure that it's the player tag. And then we want to do and the change audio, okay, is actually true this time. All right, so if it's true, then we're going to set it to false. And we are going to write these same lines of code. So I'm going to just copy both of these here. I'm going to paste them. And instead I'm going to set this to 1 because we're accessing the second element of that world audio clips list. So we're accessing the second element of the world audio clips list from the world audio script that is on the world audio source game object. And we're going to call the play method off of the world audio source game object. And we can call this play method because the world audio source game object has an actual audio source component on it as well. And so I forgot to add if it's not change audio and the player leaves, we also actually want to set change audio to true here when he exits the collider. And so this will change the audio back to base. If you're in the desert and you go inside, it will change the audio to the base audio. Otherwise, if the change audio is false, okay, then we'll play the desert ambient sound clip. So now if we go ahead and save this here, and we go back into Unity, I'll save it one more time here. Make sure all our references are set up so our world audio, that looks correct. However, we'll need to drag in an audio source reference here. So I'm just going to lock the outside door trigger, and I will drag in the world audio object, which has the audio clips that I need on it. I'll click inside door, and I will do the same thing. And the last thing we'll need to do is go to the world audio and set the audio clip to the desert ambient as well, because we want that to play immediately. And if I go ahead and save it again, I'm going to just press play. you'll see that this desert audio plays. It's kind of loud, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn the volume way down again. Maybe to like 10 or so, 15. And I believe the gun audio is playing was an issue I was noticing as well. So let's just fix that really quick. We'll go to the FPS player, go to the weapon holder, and just make sure that see, yeah, we have, because I dragged these audio sources on there, I forgot to turn off play on awake, so just make sure that you're turning that off so they don't immediately play when the program starts up. And we'll go ahead and save this one more time. We will run it. Yeah, sorry, that is very loud still, so I'll go ahead and turn the volume down to like 20 for each of these here, I think will be good. Or 0.2, I should say. You can adjust the settings as you'd like. So the last thing we'll want to go ahead and last thing we'll want to go ahead and do here is make sure that the outside door triggers, the change audio fields are on. In the inspector, we'll save it. Gunshot works, and if we walk into the base, that audio works too. And if we leave, the desert audio keeps playing. So that is how you would use OnTriggerExit to play some audio and how to set up audio in the game. We'll see you on the next session. Thanks, guys.